You'll be dead! While even if Tempest isn't a new game by release date anymore, it nevertheless still is a new otome game of its own kind, different to all of the other 50 otome games I've played so far. Be prepared for the worst in even if Tempest. Because our heroine, Anastasia, was raised in a lonely, shabby room, abused and hated by her parents. Good start! You'll be dead! One day her fate seems to take a better turn, though it doesn't, and she dies miserably. You're dead. In the world beyond, she encounters a strange being that forms a pact with her. It bestows the power of fatal rewind upon her, the power to turn back time after she died. In return, she has to help eradicate the evil witch of ruin, who has been tormenting humans with her carnival trials. In the time of the witch's carnival, each night a person is murdered by a human bewildered by the witch's powers. 5 suspects are announced who have to stand trial and find out the murderer amongst them, who will then be judged by the people of the town, who the true murderer was, and who has to amend by being burned. You're dead. Oh, welcome back to the era of witch hunts. And for some reason the evil witch of ruin took an interest in Anastasia, trying to drive her into utter desperation with each trial she performs. Thus Anastasia ends up going back in time again and again, as she refuses to accept this as her happy ending. You're dead, redhead. What you normally know from the gameplay system of an otome game, you play a route, finish it, go back to the save file in the common route to enter another route. This concept of going back in save files is now implemented as going back in time in even if Tempest's story. After you finish the first route, the game itself will trigger to go back in time, with the necessity and goal to enter another character's route and find happiness this time. So after each route, Anastasia will actually go back in time and not just you as the player, but she with you, which provokes a quite unusual effect. In this game, you know exactly as much as the main character. Usually it's just you remembering that you've dated that character for the last 6 hours, secretly still lusting for him and hurt how he can't remember. But this time, it's Anastasia as well, you share a common past with, and with each character this shared knowledge increases. You're dead, darling! You can start with Cryas, the leader of the royal guards, who is as gentle and kind as an older brother would be and has known Anastasia for the past 8 years. But his route isn't kind to Anastasia at all, and felt the wildest to me in terms of sudden plot twists. That his route is followed by Tyrell's route or the other way round, who is the main investigator against the witches. Perfect if you're holding magical power at the moment yourself, which could easily lead to a misunderstanding. So Anastasia decides to help Tyrell with his investigations in order to save dear Cryas from the witch trials. To me, Tyrell's character is the most well written, with his endearingly cute tsundere side, while on the other hand being the strict investigator, who would even torment people in order to save others. I think his character has too many interesting layers, which couldn't all be fully explored in this rather short route. Instead, after him you unlock Zen, a taciturn and stern guy who is neither friend nor foe. Well, this being an otome game, I think it's okay for me to tell you that he'll turn out as one of the nicest guys. He has many secrets, which entitles him to be the closest to Anastasia throughout the game, and make their relationship feel the most stable and natural. Equally supporting, and win him my most sexy award. Though the romance was fairly sweet in his route, especially compared to the others, what happened in his route was, well, interesting revelation-wise, the most gruesome and hopeless route of all. By now the grumpy cat facial expression was burned into my muscles. Still, he is my personal true and best route and not that Lucian, who is promoted as the locked true route, but all he got was a major rushed info dump route, with almost to none romance whatsoever. So I have a hard time even counting him as an ally. Though he was so sweet in all the other routes. But in his route they either didn't spend time together at all, or spent it listening to someone else rambling about the lore of the game. This is not despair, this is called disappointment. But that's only Lucian's route, and luckily the rest of the game wasn't disappointing at all. It was just very sure Novish Reloaded. Despair, death, blood. Oh my god, why is this happening? Welp. Dead again. Why am I even reading this? Is this even an otome game? You sure the writers didn't just want to make a Danganronpa game, halfway through discovered Danganronpa already existed, and make an otome game by name out of it? That again. everyone's freaking dead. Quite similar to Shuin Wish, this is a game about bad endings and you cannot get the good ending until you've played all the bad ones. And they were so bad and hopeless. I was happy to play the sad love endings, the alternative bad endings, which then in comparison seemed like happy endings to me, though happy is by far an accurate description to what happened in those sometimes non-consensual endings. Everything's better than a bad ending, I guess. So be prepared. This is nothing for the faint heart. And I was really happy I can't speak Japanese, so I can just skip all the gory descriptions without having to read and understand them.
Ew.
And I turned off the sound effects during the parental abuse scenes. Delish.
Yikes.
Also, lucky me, I didn't really bond with the characters during the 25-hour playthrough, so I didn't cry when literally everyone died. Over and over again. Dead, dead, dead. Glad our heroine Anastasia also took all this quite well. In general, she was a strong and determined heroine, who still was relatable to me, especially in her softer moments. And you really wonder how unfair this world has to be to make her deserve all this, as she doesn't deserve such a harsh fate. It's the LIs who give her comfort in various forms, and though the romance is kind of there, it's definitely on the subtle side. Which I think takes the main focus of the game are the witch trials, where you have to find the culprit of the murder of the night. And that is exactly where the gameplay takes place. You first can investigate the suspects, and then argue with them during trial, defending or attacking them, making the jury doubt them, and finding clues to support your statements. Those segments felt close to games like Ace Attorney or Danganronpa, solely focusing on the trial. And to me, those segments also felt difficult, deciding who to investigate and finding the right clues to back up your arguments. So I always stuck to using a guide, because I still felt frustrated that playing charade maniacs blindly was of no consequence whatsoever. And except for one route I didn't really understand the use of the trials, they felt rather detached from the overall story. Though they actually are the story. I think the game expects you to have fun with arguing and finding the clues, find out the traitor. But for me, they were just a hassle, preventing me from getting kissed really quick. So I don't think they connected well to the story in general, but just were there separately, and you didn't even learn much about the overarching truth nor the characters. Though I wasn't a fan of the characters' sprites. Is this supposed to be a friendly smile? Does he want to threaten me or what? I wish they made more use of the actually quite good music and gave me more romantic CGs. The CGs are pretty and cute, but could have been more swoon-worthy for me. At least I was swooned by all the voice actors big time, like Alan from Cupid Parasite, Akitu from Norn 9, Zen's voice actor hopefully will from now on appear in more big roles, and Dante from Pure Fiore. Pretty outstanding cast if you ask me. This is one of the few games which can be played in Japanese and English, and allows you to switch back and forth if you wish to. I've made a list about multilingual otome games, which in my opinion are some of the best games to start learning Japanese with, as you can check your understanding by consulting the translation, and won't have wasted money on a game if you decide it's still too difficult. Same with Even If Tempest, especially as I perceived the language as rather difficult, like not the most difficult game, but it likes to use some unusual kanji, so I would recommend it to upper intermediate learners. Overall, I would recommend Even If Tempest to everyone who likes a murder mystery, who can deal with or actually likes bloody incidents, gore and gruesome fates, hopeless plots and meaningless death. The heroine has a fighting spirit and the LIs all lovingly support her in their own ways, while the plot is, dark. The length of the game, with around 25 hours, and the focus on the witch trials prevented it from elaborating more on some of the plot devices. Some characters or story parts were left unfinished and kind of forgotten in the midst of all the brilliant ideas that came up throughout the game. Also, not being able to obtain a good ending until the end made the good endings feel even more rushed than the routes already are, as they were attached just at the end of the game, after there might have passed 20 hours since you last dated that character. So while I think Even If Tempest is brimming full with new ideas, which have the potential to introduce new visual novel fans into the genre, or bring back old players who have been fed up seeing the same old concepts, it wasn't executed executed as well as the ideas would have deserved. The trials feel detached, the plot rushed and not quite complete, the love story slightly unsatisfying. This might sound negative, but I totally appreciate the game for what it tried to achieve. For the new and fresh ideas, original concepts being like the meta-otome, by actually rewinding time in-game and not just going back to save files. Thus I personally enjoyed it more than Charade Maniacs, for example, another Who's the Traitor game, and more than Shui no Bish, simply because it made me only sit to 20 hours of despair instead of 80. So thanks Voltage for bringing a full-fledged, fully voiced game to the Switch. Trying something new, being bold and courageous, breaking the dusty borders of this genre, and taking up the chance to make our past mistakes, not by rewinding time, but by giving us a fan disc. Hopefully picking up on some of the plot points, and most importantly, giving a sweet time with the well-written characters, who suffered through so much and now deserve relaxed time in bed. You know, if you're into the motive of despair, there is no better visual novel than Shui no Bish, which will also be localized this year. You're dead!